Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here at Beaver Creek. Just a shame it's like this, but it's like that for all of us. I was so looking forward to attending in person. It would have been my first time and catching up with so many people. Let's hope for next year, hey? My name's Richard Laufmann and I represent Rex Minerals. I hope to talk to you and primarily talk to you about our new gold project, the Hog Ranch project in northwest Nevada, about 2.5 hours from Reno, and give you a little flavour of what Rex is, and talk you also very briefly through our initial discovery, our first discovery back in 2007, which is a 2 million tonne copper project in South Australia. So really, Rex is an investment in gold in Nevada and copper in South Australia. Both world-class locations, exactly where you want to be if you're looking for those metals. And we're onto something. We've already discovered something in both locations. So it's an exciting story. First of all, Hog Ranch. And here you see one of the pits at Hog Ranch as it was left behind by Western Mining. When we acquired this, we really went in looking for some high-grade epithermal boiling zone targets. That was the objective, and that's what we thought we had. But I was familiar with Hog Ranch, right? So I used to work for Western Mining, and they operated Hog Ranch back between 88 and 92. They only had a very small project there. They had a good team. They drilled a lot of holes, and they were producing at about 1.2 grams a tonne of gold. But gold price was about $350 an ounce. I knew the general manager there. I spent time with him. In fact, I got him to Australia to help us build the first heap leach for Western Mining at St Ives back in 2000, which turned into be a really super successful investment for Westerns. And it was his expertise at Hog Ranch that we brought to Western Australia. But as I said, we went in here looking for the classic Nevada epithermal gold system. And there was a lot of good indication that it might exist, right? We clearly had some intersections that definitely point to it. And we had the vast surface anomalism that Western Mining were operating. But at the time we stepped into this project, we didn't realise just how large this system was. No idea, in fact. So what we were hoping for turned out to be much larger than we expected. So we acquired it, say 10 months ago now, but within 8 months, we'd gone from 0 ounces to 1.4 million ounces of resource over a 20 kilometre square area. And that resource is really wrapped up into a small component down here at Bells, 420,000 ounces, and the rest sits up here predominantly in the Krista area, and then a few ounces hanging off here in the sulphide deposits of Airport and Cameco. All very shallow, all mostly oxide, and very amenable to heap leaching. So, first of all, we were very pleased that what we were seeing, and very quickly started to focus on a startup operation here at Bells, and I'll talk to you about that. And that's exciting in itself. But at the same time, we were bringing in a lot more geological data. We put a drill rig on site at Bells. We were collecting some geophysical data. We were touching base with the old geologists who worked the place, overlaying their mapping from the pits and from the surface mapping that they'd done in the area, and just layering that up with the geochemistry. We also did some seismic lines, 2 big seismic lines. As I said, we were focused on the underground, and we do think that 3D seismic has a role to play in the future of targeting some of the big stuff that we hope lies here. But putting all that together in Leapfrog very quickly highlighted something well beyond what we'd anticipated when we started looking at just the Bells and Krista projects where Western Mining had operated. And we now see a system vastly more significant than what we ever imagined. Time doesn't really allow for me to go into that. And this is still emerging for us. Like, we're seeing it as we drill. We're seeing it as we add layers of information and data. I think there might be a handful of other people who always assumed Hog had somewhere to go, but it hasn't gone anywhere for 20 years. Well, now's its time. And we've just completed our second drill campaign, put another 20 holes in. We put some down in Bells, where we're growing the inferred resource. I'll talk to you about that. put a bunch up here with some new targets in the Krista area to try and improve the size of our resource. And we put one wildcat hole over here into Cameco, into one of these sulfide high-grade targets. So I'll talk to you all about that. So there's a lot going on at the moment at Hog Ranch, and it's all just happening very, very quickly for us. But I just want to focus very briefly on Bells. There's a picture of Bells. It's not that exciting, right? It was where Western's finished. They didn't mine very much of it. They kind of needed about 1 to 1.2 grams at least, because they were trucking it to some to heaps about 4 miles away at the time that Western's decided to pull out of North America. Remember, they spent $100 million in '88 buying this project, Hog Ranch. And I'm being an engineer, my fascination lay with, could we get a startup mine in here quickly? And this is just the summary of some of the results of our scoping study. Now, it's a little more than your classic scoping study, because we knew where to start, right? We already had all the previous work, the previous drilling, and the previous knowledge about the processing that existed back in the day. And those guys came back to the table and helped us redefine how we step forward. So Caps Cassidy did some column leach test work with us just to confirm what we expected. But we knew our starting point was 1.5 inch crust size, crushed green agglomerate. We got some fantastic results, and you can see the numbers at 1,500 gold speak for themselves. 40% IRR, 1.9 year payback. But for us, the key here is, without relying on economy of scale, we're getting a sub $10 per ore tonne all-in operating cost for around $900 an ounce. Now, this is day shift only, 4 777s, no big deal, 3 million tonne per annum. It's not going to set the world on fire, but that's a 420,000 ounce resource that we think will turn into a 400,000 ounce pit. So huge conversion to reserve, and very good recovery. So good recovery, low strip ratio, and low cost. If we get into scale at Hog Ranch, which is what we're looking at to the northern area, wow, this project area can really take off, and that makes sense when you look north. So what was like a 0.5 gram deposit has upgraded somewhat to a 0.63 gram indicated resource. We have put 10 drill holes in that put that into indicated very quickly, and we've got another series of about 7 drill holes going in at the moment to increase the indicated component so we can complete feasibility. And wow, we've got a starter pack. And as I said, without trimming fat around the edges, this thing makes money, and it makes money quickly, and it's something that we think should be able to be approved quite quickly as well. So it's an exciting opportunity to get into cash flow in the area, but boy, are we starting to see the exploration potential of this project really shine for us. Of course, we're about 2.5 hours northeast of Nevada. It's a good highway to get there. These are important things for people that aren't familiar with the location, the area of the project. In the distance here, you've got a little town called Gerlach, which is one of the nearest towns to the project site, which is about an hour from here. And that's also where the Burning Man project's held. I put this slide up because it reminds me a lot of Outback Kalgoorlie. You have a good epicenter like Kalgoorlie, in this case Reno, with good infrastructure throughout the state, and a fairly mining-friendly state, right? There's a lot of mines there. They know what they're doing. You've got a lot of resources. You've got great people. You've got great access to all the sort of contract and skill sets that you require, as well as the roads and highways that you need to be able to facilitate building something. We aren't stepping into the third world here. We're stepping into Nevada, and what a good place to be. So we're very excited about this project, and we hope that you take notice and hear a lot more of Hog Ranch and Rex Minerals as we proceed. Very quickly though, as I said, we're a gold and a copper company, and it's really 2 for the price of 1. So Rex is known for its copper project discovery in 2007 at Hillside in South Australia. South Australia is famous for some of the biggest copper projects in the world, including the Olympic Dam project that BHP own today. We discovered a 2 million tonne copper deposit here, 1.4 million ounces of gold, and the stage 1 mine life of 13 years will deliver 500,000 tonne of copper and 430,000 ounces of gold. Right? It's a big project. Stage 1 is the beginning. There's a stage 2 to this, which will double the life. And then there's underground as well as stage 3 options, etc., etc. This is a big system. This is a big discovery, right? This is all about copper. I know this is a gold conference and not everyone's zoned in on copper. And don't get me wrong. I used to run Western Mining's gold business. I love gold, but I also love copper, right? Copper is the future of electrification for planet Earth. So if you haven't got a bet in the copper book, valued alone on the copper project with the land that we own on the surface, Rex's market cap equates to about 0.5 cent a pound, right? 0.5 cent, US cent per 1 pound of copper in the ground. And no one's really heard of Hog Ranch yet, and it's only starting to come to light. As I said, we acquired it back here in August. Very quickly, we wrapped the first resource around it. Then, like everyone, what's the world doing? COVID hit. Meanwhile, we'd already initiated some drilling. We started to grow the resource. It very quickly grew to 1.4 million ounces. We could start to see scale. We put out a scoping study on Bells. That shows the opportunity that exists here without us having to scale up to get economy of scale. And then finally, we got the last of our approvals, our environmental approvals for the project in South Australia. So our company spent a lot of money and a lot of time in South Australia. Feasibility studies, getting the mining licenses all approved, and then finally the environmental approvals came through about 4 weeks ago. So very big change for Rex Minerals, and you get the gold for free. And what a gold project this is. So it's been fantastic to have the opportunity. Sorry it's like this. Any questions, more than happy to ask and answer. But I look forward to getting to know more and more people in North America as this project gets further along and becomes more real for all of us. So keep your ears out for Hog Ranch. You can't really miss it. You can't really forget it once you hear about it and see it. And I look forward to hopefully next year being there in person and being able to meet you guys. Thanks very much. Bye.